Hi there, I'm Nicole Wilbur. Welcome back to my channel. I am a writer and I just signed with an agent. That is, I can't believe I said that. That's crazy. I just got done going to all my socials, my website and stuff, and writing, for any queries about Nicole's books, please contact Katie, because there's someone to contact. It's so exciting. It's so cool. Welcome back to my channel. If you've been here for a while or around the past week or so, you'll see I posted a long vlog going through in real time the whole process from agent offer to finally signing the contract. It's been very exciting. This video though is going to be the how I got my agent. So I am going to walk through the process of, first of all, getting the idea and writing the book, just a short talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about the actual agent process. So when I started querying by accident through to when I got the offer of representation. Then we're going to do query stats, which everybody loves, so very excited for that. And then we're doing a Q&A with wonderful questions from you. Thank you everybody so much for all of the very sweet well wishes on the getting an agent vlog. And I so appreciate all of your well wishes and exciting thoughts. It makes me very excited for the milestones and such to come, and I think it's super important to celebrate every milestone, and this is a great one. So thank you for being here with me through that. One more note just before we do it, I am posting the query letter that got me an agent on Substack today. I'll have that linked below. I will do a video about the query letter sometime in the future, but if you want kind of a sneak peek of that, you can check out my query letter on Substack. All right, so let's get into what is this book exactly that got me an agent. The book is called Some Kind of Criminal. It is a YA heist thriller. Yes, heists are kind of a genre in YA. There's been one by Karen McManus, they get sold. It's very exciting stuff. It's basically the Inheritance Games meets the Italian Job. I've also comped to National Treasure Edge of History. I've comped to Thieves Gambit. I've comped to Love and Gelato, but with a heist. And I came up for the idea with it in Florence in 2021. I was living there for a month, and this is a weird origin story. I had a really cute white dress. I'm so sorry, you can skip this, but there's a point. There's these little blue heels. They were so cute, and I was running on the cobblestones for some reason. I was probably late for something, and I was thinking beyond me, why would someone ever be running on these cobblestones? Because obviously running on cobblestones in heels, even very cute heels, is hard. And I was like, well, they're being chased, they're running from the cops. Why would they run from the cops? They're stealing something. And there we go. We get the theft in Florence of this legendary Stralius violin. So I got the idea in September of 2021, and I started drafting it that fall. Don't remember the exact dates. And I finished it up I think December, January. And then I worked on draft 2 sort of February, March of 2022. In March, I got a dev editor to look at the first 50 pages. I also got alpha readers to give it a look. And then I was working on draft 3 for the second half of that year based on their feedback. Come 2023, I decided I didn't like it. It was not doing what I wanted it to do. It was not the story that I wanted to tell. And it took a while actually to get it to the story that I wanted to tell. And so I decided to do a huge overhaul. So the story really changed, where we started, what the goals were, what the focus was. I think draft 3 was very much about figuring out the character. Draft 4 was kind of blending them together, the character and the plot. All the way through 2023, I was editing. I had beta readers. That July, August, September portion, August, September of 2023, I edited again, and I started, and then I went in the fall of 2023, probably in October, I went to the conference Right Hive, and there, I believe it was Right Hive, and I did a session where an agent, it's either they critique your first pages or your query or something. And it's in a group, and it's all via keyboard, right? You're typing, and she's giving feedback and talking and stuff. It's really cool. And you know, it's like a little workshop, actually. It was great. I met a critique partner through that too, which was awesome. I loved her story. I wonder where they're at. Anyways, so that agent was great. And at the end of that session, she said, when you guys are ready, like, query me. And, you know, some of your queries, I'm happy to give another round of feedback or if there's something like that. And so in November of 2023, I had my query. I had gotten some input from it. I think I'd maybe hired someone to take a look, but I'd also sent it to a friend of mine who works in publishing, and she was amazing, honestly, and like sat down and made it good. She like took a rolled up sleeves, like took a highlighter and went in and really made it good. And so then I sent it to this agent, basically saying, so great to meet you. Like, here's the query. You said you would be willing to look at it. Maybe when I hear it now, like now I'm like, oh, by look at it, they mean like evaluate it for like representation. I kind of heard then like evaluate it and give you feedback to help you. So then in December of 2023, when the agent emailed back and said I would like a partial, I was shocked. Like, I didn't know I'd started querying. I was at a Christmas party actually, and I got this email, and I got the email earlier in the night, and then I kind of remembered later. I was like, oh, I have to go look at it, because I thought she was just gonna say, oh, like, your query is good, but you could say blah blah. And when I saw I got a partial, I people were like, are you okay? Like, I looked like I got devastating news. My face just went like this, and so then I had to like leave the room and go sit on a bench for a minute, and then I came back in and was like, good news. So then I had to send out the partial, and I was like, I have to query all these other agents. So I started doing that. I queried maybe another 5 in December, and then another 4 or something in January. In the end, we'll get to stats in a minute. There were some requests, but they all came back as rejections come the spring. So I did a full developmental edit. At that point, hired an editor off Readsy, and we did a full developmental edit. And that was in June of 2024. And so we did the developmental edit June 2024, spent a good chunk of that year, the rest of the year, editing, revising, etc. Finally did some finishing touches, last things in the winter of this year, January 2025. I was working on another project at the same time, and then I started querying again March, April. I did another round March, April. Those went out. We'll get to stats in a second. And then in like early June-ish, mid-June, I went to a conference called Writing Day Workshop, I think it's called. They do a ton of these conferences. And I pitched 5 agents live at that conference on Zoom. And at that point, I also sent out another 4 queries that weekend, but agents were starting to close for the summer. Like, a lot of agents were closed for the summer. I think there's going to be a huge amount of like opening come September. So a lot of agents were closing for the summer. It was kind of like a half round. There was no point in doing more because, again, everybody was closing. So I did those, and then we got the offer of representation. So that's kind of the timeline. So the querying, the writing of the book started in 2021 and continued until 2025, really, because I was obviously still working on it. And then the querying started the very end of 2023, and we finished up July 2025. Now, Katie sent me the offer of basically saying, let's set up the call. It wasn't an offer yet. On, I think it was June 21st, and then we had the call on June 23rd when she officially extended the offer of representation. We signed, like, the contract was countersigned, all done, July 25th, which is a while. That's like a full month. And there's a few reasons for that. It was the, like, Canadian and American holidays the week after we had our call, and I was a little overwhelmed. I was like, please, can I have 3 weeks to get back to you? Which I feel bad about, but I think was necessary for like peace of mind, given the fact that there was the holiday. I wanted there to be more than like one weekend, I guess, where agents would have a chance, the agents I nudged would have a chance to read it. So she was like, yeah, whatever works for you. So we had a 3-week thing. So the call was June 23rd. The deadline I gave to the nudging agents was July 11th. And then by July 11th, I got the final no, and I sent my, I would love to work with you, accept your offer, etc. on July 11th. So it was a little bit less than 3 weeks. After that, she sent over the agency agreement. I actually sent it to Authors Guild just to get a second eye on it. Recommend Authors Guild if you're a member. They do like contract review, legal services, which is great. At that point, I also had some questions about the contract, so I just asked if we could like jump on a call. And so scheduling that call took a little bit of time. I think we had that call July 16th or 17th. And then once we had the call, she sent over the like personalized, contract. I went through, signed that, sent it over. You have to print, sign, etc. I signed it at the Writers Museum, which was fun. Then there was like a W-9 form, fun. And then they countersigned, and everything was finally in order on July 25th. And that's when I got my big like welcome email. So that's our timeline. Okay, so query stats. Between December of 2023 and July of 2025, I queried 32 agents. I had a total of 6 closed, no reply, 1 personalized rejection on the query. I don't think I got any other personalized rejections. I didn't really track that, but I remember getting 1, so it's 1. And then 14 form rejections. I got 3 partial requests, 8 full requests, and 1 offer. Woo! Which gives a total request rate of 34% and a total offer rate, is that a thing, of 3%. So great. But the interesting thing about this is that I actually queried in 3 rounds, and in each round I had a slightly different package and a slightly different strategy. My first round, I sent 11 queries. I got 4 requests. That's a 36% request rate. That was with 1 version of the book. Then I made a ton of changes, right? Like I worked with the developmental editor. I reworked the query a lot. I had fairly different opening pages, and I went out without getting another review, honestly, of the query letter. In my second round in 2025, I sent another 12 queries, and I had a 0% request rate, like nothing on that whole round. Then I changed my package. I got some reviews. I fixed the synopsis. I made a couple changes in the queries, and I made 1 change in the opening pages. And in my third round, I had a 55% request rate. So I really want to do a video like breaking down how I went from 0% request rate to 55% request rate. Kind of. I mean, that number is a little bit skewed, right? Because I did do a conference. So I'm counting the 5 agents I pitched at a conference in that third round, 55%, because it was all kind of happening at the same time. But I only consider it if it a request if I had further contact with that agent about the thing. So for example, from the pitch event, there was 1 agent who like asked for a full at the end of the pitch, and she sent a form rejection. And I was like, I'm not counting that as a request. But for all of the other ones, I engaged with them, got an offer from one of them, obviously. They were saying, I'm reading, I'm loving, or they gave a lot of feedback, and it was like clear that they really like engaged with, read the material, read the partial or full manuscript or whatever. They read deeper than a query would anyways. And so for those, I counted them as part of the requests. And actually one of those, that agent requested 10 pages in the conference and then had a full request right after. So it varies. The conference thing is a little bit weird. It does skew it. So again, if I hadn't met those agents at the conference, would they all have requested the partial, the full? I have no idea. I'd like to think so. I did get a full request off just that new, like newly done query letter. So yeah, that is the breakdown of the stats. We went from 36% to 0% to 55%. And I'm thinking what I might do is share at some point, like at least a bit of the query letter from like all those different stages so we can look at it, because I think it's really interesting. It's really interesting stuff. Okay, so that is the query stats part. We are now on to the Q&A. Okay, thank you everybody so much for your questions. So first off, actually, was Tifro Bennett, who asked for stats, and they were right there. Thank you. I get so excited to see people's stats too. It's like, it's really interesting. So there you go. The next question is Christina Clarence. They said, I would love so much information on how you chose who to query and how you knew your query was any good, because I have so much overwhelm and doubt in that area. And yeah, that's a great question. How I chose who to query varied. I took a couple of routes, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend all of them. So I did a lot on manuscript wish list, looking for people who mentioned things like heists or my comp books. And that actually worked out pretty well in terms of getting requests. I generally like went on Query Tracker and looked for agents in my genre, and sometimes like looked at ones with shorter request times and tried to like put those in there. Those didn't work out so well, honestly. Obviously, like I vetted the agents, but I found like starting from Query Tracker wasn't a great strategy for me personally. The other thing that I did that kind of worked, but didn't work, like kind of worked, I think, was I went on Publishers Marketplace and I started looking up the top agencies in YA, and then I would look at every agency and choose one agent from those agencies to query. That also had like somewhat mixed results. That was born out of, obviously, like there's a limit to the number of agents you can query from one agency. Some is like a no from one is a no from all. So I really wanted to make sure I wasn't like choosing agents willy-nilly, and I was looking kind of at the agency level to account for that. Again, I'm not sure if that was the best strategy. I think a mix of all of these is probably a good way to do it. I think if I was to do it again, I might even be a little more strategic or focused and look at like imprints and editors. Now this is like getting really, like, I don't know what this part is, but I would maybe like look at books that are similar to mine, look at the books that I've loved in YA, look at their imprints, look at their editors, and then go on Publishers Marketplace, and you can do this and see like who the agents are who are selling to them. In addition, like I think that could be a good way to do it, but also honestly, I think the best way is through the manuscript wish list, because if you can say something that then jogs their memory and is like, oh, I'm really interested in that, I think that sparks the interest. Specifically on Katie's, she had something about like wanting puzzles and is there fireworks going on outside, or is that a bomb? Like, it's August in England. Why are there fireworks? Anyways, yeah, she had something in hers about like loving puzzles, riddles, that kind of escape room type thing. I really focused on that in my pitch to her at the conference of, hey, it's like, it's riddles, it's puzzles, laced with history. So I really focused on that. And how did I know if my query package was any good? I got help with it, frankly. Like I went to Readsy, I hired editors, freelancers, whatever, to look it over. I hired many. Like I had someone look at the synopsis. Most recently, I had 2 people look at the query. First pages I was pretty confident on, but even like I've had a lot of people look at my query package. I also have a friend who works in publishing. She works for a book packager. She's not an agent, but she knows how to pitch things, and so she helped me a lot with some of the language in the query letter as well. And she made some really great changes and actually got in and like edited it for me. So I had a lot of help, and luckily though, like editors for reviewing a pitch package, query synopsis first 5 pages, it's not that expensive. Like, you can find it for under $100, and I just fully recommend, because how would I know if it's any good? Like, you listen to the podcast, The Shit No One Tells You About Writing. Gina Denny does great stuff on queries, but it is really hard. So getting someone to look at yours personally is just like invaluable. I also got it critiqued on The Shit No One Tells You About Writing. Like, I had a lot of help. Next, we have a question from Ecofictology with Lovis Geyer, who they look like they have a channel, so you can go check them out. And this one is, I think I paraphrased their question into 2 kind of separate ones. So the first one being, why did you choose to go to pitch events, and how many did you go to? I have been to 2 conferences and 1 pitch event. And I chose originally to go to a conference just for the information, as a learning experience. And then in the end, I felt like it was a good way to get a good read on an agent, to get some FaceTime with them. You do have to pay for those pitching sessions, but I thought that they were kind of well worth it for that FaceTime. So I went to 3, and I chose to go to them because honestly, it seemed like a way to get faster feedback on the pitch, on the pages, etc., to kind of stand out in the slush pile. Not that I didn't get requests from the slush pile, I fully did, but I also, got them from the pitch event. I went to, what was that, DV Pit? Yeah. And Right Hive, the page critique, and then the W Workday Writing Conference, which there's a ton of, and I did the 5 pitches with agents there. So their next question is, I would love to know how you find out about these conferences that have pitch events and how you prepared your pitch, because it's obviously very effective. They seem to be an avenue I'd like to explore more, so any hints on where to find them are appreciated. Honestly, I just used Google. I have no idea how I came across Right Hive. Originally, I think I was looking for, again, like pitch events, because I wanted the feedback. I applied to RevPit, never got into that, but just Googling, honestly. And then the one I went to, the Writing Day Workshop, WDW, Writing Day Workshop, that one, they do at least a conference a month. Some are in person, some are online, and lots of agents attend those. And sometimes you worry a little bit that, like, are these good vetted agents? And I wouldn't say just because they're at a pitch conference it means they're vetted and good. That's not true. But you also get paid, like, agents who are actively building their lists at those conferences. And so even the agents that I didn't pitch, if I was continuing to query, I did have a list of ones to query who were at the conference. So it was a really great way to find agents. Those pages, by the way, are like publicly available. So you can read all of the agents who will be at a WDW conference, just like on their website, and see if there's anybody in there you're interested in and use it to build your query list. Yeah, I thought that was a great avenue to explore there. In terms of how I prepared my pitch, I prepared it, and I would love to maybe talk a little bit more about this. I prepared it to try to be under 2 to 3 minutes. I did not want to go longer than that. I'd done one pitch before, so that was last, like the spring of 2024, summer of 2024. That was when I did the Right Hive where I pitched, in Right Hive conference where I pitched an agent. And she kind of, like, I was telling her about the book, and she kind of gave back to me, and when she was saying it back to me, she kind of told me what she took away, and that was really key to me. She was just repeating it, like, oh, okay, she was like, heist, Italy, puzzle, romance, something like that. And I said, okay, what I need to do in this pitch is I need to make sure there are like 3 things that they take away that it's memorable. You know what I mean? So I wanted to really hook them with small things. So emphasis on less detail and more just like I don't know if this is good advice, but in the pitch, like a little bit more, I was trying to do a little bit more vibes. So when I pitched my book to you at the very beginning of this video, and I said, it's like, picture an impossible heist in an ancient castle. Like, that's what I was really trying to get across, was heist, Italy, romance, puzzle, like intrigue, history. That kind of keywords that build up like a feeling and an image in their mind, because I wanted it to be memorable. Is that the right way to do it? I don't know. It did seem to work for me. No one said, tisk tisk, like, why aren't you starting with the protagonist? But I was starting with like the comps, the vibe, and then I went into, and Lena Abers is a snitch, which is the beginning of my pitch. Yeah, so that is the approach I took to crafting it, was really like, what couple things do I want them to take away? Can I get a mental image in their head? Because they aren't going to remember all the plot details, because I'm saying it out loud and it's fast, and it's just, you know, hard to get your mind around. So I wanted to say things that people could kind of hook onto really easily and make sure those things were highlighted the whole way through. In terms of how I prepared it, I practiced. I wrote everything out. I have a Google Doc. The night before, I practiced for myself. I practiced for my friends. I got feedback from them. I practiced again. And then I started, you know, doing it on the day. So lots and lots of practice there. I hope that helps. I can maybe go through that. I'd be happy to kind of talk through it in a little bit more detail if that's helpful. The conference aspect is really interesting. There's obviously like an economic aspect to that as well. It was like $30 a pitch session or something, plus the conference fee. Right Have Conference is free, but there still is like $30 a pitch session. And so that it's like something to be aware of. And it's not guaranteed that the agent is going to like your project at all. It also might be that a lot of them just say, yeah, query me no matter what, because they don't want to give rejections face to face, which is also, it's also fair, but it's great. It kind of forces you to get your elevator pitch together, which is really cool. So, moving on, we have a question from Starkling Spars 8956, who said on the comment of the vlog, how the heck did you cope with the anxiety of all that? Which is a great question, because yeah, that was a lot. It was 3 weeks. It was a 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it was a time in my life. In terms of how I coped with the anxiety of it, I just vented to the camera, basically. That was what the rest of the time I was like, and we are calm and we are fine. And then I would just like vent to the camera. And I was obviously thinking about it a lot and trying to like get my head around it, etc. I talked about it to friends, of course. I talked about it to family. I talked about it to the camera. I talked about it to everybody. And you know, it's anxious, but it is an exciting thing at the same time. And I was grateful and very happy that, you know, I had the opportunity to talk to her. It was a lot, but also like it was good to vlog it. Someone also said, wow, like, good for you for remembering to vlog. I'm like, this was my like outlet, very much was talking to the camera for that one. So, moving on, we have a couple questions from Madeline James writes, thank you so much, Madeline. So, the first question is, now that you have an agent, does this affect which projects you're going to approach next, as they don't necessarily have to be the best for querying? That is a great question. I have one first draft kind of hanging in the wings. It is a YA Christmas rom-com, and that I was supposed to be editing now, but instead of doing that, I moved along to a new project that is another like in the vein of heist thriller. It's a little bit less heisty, but it still has that like team atmosphere. It still has that travel feel. It's still that action adventure. And I am at like 55,000 words or something in that. So my goal is to finish the first draft of that, then do whatever edits are needed on some kind of criminal, and then probably talk with my agent and strategize about like what is best to do next. Is it best to do the action adventure, or to go into that YA love story? And I'm interested to hear her opinion. We'll see. I'm nervous about the idea of sending her anything because they're in very, very rough shape. She already knows about the projects. I gave her like brief pitches of them as part of the querying process. But yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking because they're not in great shape. The number of times that I rewrote Some Kind of Criminal to make it any good at all, like I rewrote it a lot, you know? So I will prefer to give her a second draft. Preferably after I've had beta readers, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to like work out kind of what she wants to see and when, etc., and when that like makes sense. But I will want to get her input kind of on which one to prioritize as the next one. So that's, I think, how it's going to affect it. Ideally, I will work on both. Anyways. Next question is, how have the people in your life reacted to this? It's a great question. Everybody has been very supportive, a little bit surprised because I didn't tell anybody I was querying. No, nobody in my life even, like, basically they don't know I have a YouTube channel. Like, a couple people do, but I don't tell them because it's weird. I don't know, it's weird. So when I came out, I'm like, well, by the way, like, not only am I telling you I've written a book and I've been writing it for a long time and now I've queried it and now I'm signing with an agent, they're very excited for me, very happy for me, very proud. My parents specifically, but friends have been lovely. They know, you know, the ones who've been on the journey know, like, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of rewriting. One of my best friends is like, I can't believe you're rewriting that book. You're writing that book again. You've been editing that thing for 3 years. I'm like, yeah, I know. They've been great. The next question is, do you feel more validated, justified in your writing skills now? And the answer is no. She also said, is it as extreme as one would think? No, literally not at all. I know that sounds a little odd. You'd think a little bit, but frankly, like, I think I felt more validated in 2023 and 2024 when I started getting those requests was when the biggest shift happened. It was around that time that I started hearing, you're ready, you know, it's a subjective industry, but you have a shot, this is good, etc. So I think I had a lot of like prep, and really it feels like it's become about fit and timing. I know that it might sound a little bit like cocky, but my kind of mindset was, once I'd, you know, had enough people kind of say, this is good, I'm like, okay, like, it's gonna happen. I have the skills to make it happen. It's just kind of a question of when. It might not be this book. It might be the next one. It has to be the like genre, time, like fit, lists, all that stuff. So I don't feel more validated or justified in my writing skills than I did when I first started getting industry feedback. And by that, I mean also like going out and getting critiques at conferences, that kind of thing. Like what they said about on the shit no one tells you about writing. They said my first pages were great, that kind of thing. So like I already had that validation. So this doesn't make me feel more justified. Someone asked me how I felt and I was like, I just keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm like, this can't be real. So at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'm not more justified. I'm also like, I'm just waiting for everything to fall apart and be like, never mind, I actually hate you. So that's where mine is at. Yeah, it is interesting. On the one hand, it's like being agented kind of like levels you up in writerly terms, which I feel I guess I have imposter syndrome. As much as I just said, like, I already felt validated in my writing before this, I would say having an agent, I feel a lot of imposter syndrome for, again, as if like it's about to be taken away. I think I don't know if I necessarily think that like being agented as that level up and like that almost like status boost in the writing community is justified. I don't know. I feel like I don't know any more than I did a month ago, if that makes sense. Not even about getting an agent. Like, I don't know how I did it. I have like tips, I have theories, but like, please don't ask me. I mean, ask me. I can chat about it. But like from a realistic perspective, I don't know anything. I do think that, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. There was something else. I think if anything, so I'm at a creative writing program in Oxford right now, and the first couple of days I was very excited and I was like, yeah, and I got an agent, and I wish I hadn't said that because people are like, oh, or one of the professors said, you have an agent, like, I can't wait to see what you write, and I was like, please God, don't look at me. I'm like, do you know how much work I put into that book? I'm sending you something I started last week, and I worked on some kind of criminal for 3.5 years. I'm like, these things are not comparable at all. Like, yeah, they're not comparable at all. And I do think I know my craft a lot better now, and I feel a lot more confident in it, and I know how I like to tackle and get into a story. So I do feel more confident in myself, but the whole having an agent thing, again, it's huge imposter syndrome. It's like, please don't look at me. Like, please don't say that you have higher expectations, because now I have I'm like, oh God, please, no. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. And finally, this is such a sweet question. What do you imagine dream for your next 5 years? What a question. All right, so I'm going to tell you my like biggest fantasy, right? I have these 3 books. So I have Some Kind of Criminal, I have my YA Christmas rom-com, and I have my like heisty other book. And I guess my like dream would for all 3 of them to be published. But like maybe by different people. Like I would, if I was the queen of the universe, I would get a 2-book deal with Some Kind of Criminal, where the second one would either be a sequel to Some Kind of Criminal, because it stands alone. It stands alone, but like, it could have a sequel. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. It could. It doesn't have to. It could. Or it's the other book that I'm writing now that I'm also super excited about. So those 2 action and adventure ones. And then I would get like a 1 or 2, like a one-off deal for my YA Christmas rom-com, because you see that a lot where like the Christmas ones are kind of done by more established authors, so you could have like heist, and then like somewhere in the middle Christmas rom-com, and then like a year later other heist, and so then like lots of books coming out all at once. That would be my personal dream. Yeah, so I would like to sell 3 books in the next 5 years and have them all come out. Realistically, I am just, I'm excited to see what happens. I am trying to take very much like a growth mindset. So, I've had the point where I got feedback from agents and freelance editors and stuff. And now we're going to be at the point where we get to hear feedback, hopefully, from editors on submission. And so I get to learn more about that process and about what they're looking for and what their priorities are and how they look at their lists and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to look at it very much as like, this is a great opportunity to learn more, to gather more information. I believe in this book. I think it's a really good book. I love it, obviously. It could die on sub so easily, and like I am very aware of that. It could take a while to break in. It takes a while to break in. So I am just trying to look at it from a perspective of I'm going to learn so much. I'm getting a little bit closer, a little bit further into the process. It's probably going to be a lot more time, a lot more work, a lot more circles around before things start happening. And I just want to continue like improving my writing, learning how to write for, what people are looking for. Practice working with somebody else, like having an agent and being like, okay, I guess I'm going to talk to you about what I prioritize next. That's a little scary, but that's a great skill to have and to work on, and, put on my professional pants a little bit, and, really, really dive in. So that is what I am hoping, dreaming for my next few years, is really just continuing to learn. And I think that that is a great place to end this, because I hope that you will come learn along with me. So if you want to like and subscribe, you can come along for my learning journey. I've been on YouTube for 5 years. 5 more. That's crazy. Hopefully we'll all be here and everything will be fine. Fingers crossed. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Again, check out my Substack where I'm going to post my query letter that got me an agent. Keep an eye out for more videos like this on Friday. I usually post videos on Friday. We will be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I will have a vlog for you from the Oxford Creative Writing course. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.